This is going to be my first opinion piece on YouTube. Today, it's trending on Twitter, hashtag why science matters. Now, first of all, I get that science matters and only a fool wouldn't see that it doesn't. The real point here is that people are afraid the new president of the United States, Donald Trump, is going to eliminate either some science funding or funding for science he doesn't like, or even just wiping out some databases that include data that previous scientists have collected, especially about the environment because, he is obviously oil friendly, right? First of all, I want to emphasize that Canada went through this over the past, 9 or 10 years before we elected a new Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau. Before that, we had a very oil-friendly Prime Minister named Stephen Harper, and they were gutting environmental regulations from Canada's laws left, right, and center. No pun intended. Lakes lost their protection against industry and people being able to pollute those. There was a lot of funding cut from Environment Canada, especially for research programs in the Arctic. And I do believe that most of the scientific grants that were given out towards the end of that Prime Minister period, regime if you want to call it that, went towards very industry-friendly scientists and programs. We went through it. I'm not going to lie, we survived, so you probably don't have to worry about that. One thing that did happen, though, is Canada lost many, many scientists in, I don't know if you call it a brain drain, but it's more like a brain flight, where a lot of the scientists who either couldn't get funding here, or the jobs that they were hired for in the first place got cut, or there were simply no grants to hire them once they graduated with a master's or a PhD. They took off, and they actually went to America, because back at that time it was Barack Obama who was in charge, and he was, at least not anti-science and research, right? He believed in climate change, so most of my climate friends, my environmental friends who studied with me at the University of Toronto, a bunch of them took off to America. I know one of them is at the University of Georgia. Several of the people in the department went to Boulder, Colorado. I guess they do some stuff up there. I don't actually know what it is. It was a migration of scientists and talent, and Canada had put some money into training those people as scientists, and they up and took off for America, where that kind of science was actually going on. So what I want to emphasize here is America will fall a little behind if they gut the science programs, but other countries are going to pick that up. China will certainly pick up scientists where they can, if you can, speak Chinese. I know a lot of scientists who have migrated to Europe as well, and I'm pretty sure Europe is still pro-science, pro-funding science. The science is gonna get done somewhere, so you don't have to worry about, no progress being made in terms of, scientific discoveries over the next little while. This also happened back when George Bush, the second one, George W. Bush, was in charge of America. And they enacted some laws that prevented scientists from doing work with human embryos somehow. And rather than America being at the frontier of studying the human genome or whatever else gets studied with human embryos, it wasn't human cloning. You're not allowed to do that, to my knowledge. But, I don't know, it might have had something to do with stem cells. Anyways, America fell way behind in that back when George W. Bush was in charge, because the scientists weren't allowed to do that particular type of research. South Korea stepped in, and they were at the forefront of that field for the longest time. So, thanks, South Korea. And, look to Canada over the next little while about where scientists are going to go. If the Trump administration ends up gutting science programs the same way it looks like they might be trying to gut the EPA. Alright? Don't worry. The world will survive. But, science rules.